planning committee, and all that. I'm gonna ask Mr. Mike Sparks, would you lead us in prayer?
Bow in, please. Dear Father in heaven, we just come before you, Lord, humble hearts, just asking for wisdom and guidance upon this body here tonight. Lord, be with those that's been suffering with this flooding, Lord, and help to give them peace and prosperity throughout this tragedy, Lord, and just be with us. And thank you for letting us live in this great country and this great state and this great county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay. First order of business would be to approve the minutes for last week.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, David, we'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you have the April Building Codes Department report on the table. Building permits issued for April was 198. The permit fees taken in was $47,195. Plumbing fees, $5,875. Gas permits was $525 for a total of $53,595. On the back of that report is a monthly update compared to last year's. We had total of 133 single-family dwellings the first quarter of this year. Last year's was 111, so we're up on single-family dwellings by 22. Our total permits for this year, 626. On your next report, our monthly inspections for property maintenance zoning. We have performed 152 inspections on property maintenance. Board of Zoning Appeals cases and conditional uses was 20, with signed inspections was 97, for a total of 117 in that category. New cases was 25 for April, 55 closed cases. If you'll notice in April's columns, our biggest increases was property maintenance. Of course, this is tall weeds and grass, which is started. We've got a lot of abandoned houses, got some burnouts that we're working on that we need to, has been over a year on those to settle up with their insurance companies. So we'll be looking into those cases also. The other increase down under signs, 97 signs were picked up in the county in 21 days. These signs mostly are in right-of-ways or complaints that are answered by the by the zoning inspectors.
How many of those were campaign signs?
Not many. Our campaign, our campaign signs usually are not in right-of-ways. They do pretty good about getting them on private property and places that have permission to be placed on them, but they're not a big problem with us. On the next report is our development tax collection. $64,500 was taken in by the Building Codes Department, $22,500 by the Planning Department, for a total of $87,000. Our cumulative total fiscal year, $1,236,750. And that's my monthly reports, Mr. Chairman.
Move to approve the report. Second.
Anybody got any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I have one other thing, Mr. Chairman, if I'm allowed to mention some telephone numbers. If people have some flooding issues, we're doing house-to-house assessments right now on properties that's called in with any type of flood damage. If it got into your air conditioner, garage, or even higher, we need to know about it. If you don't think your house has been looked at or assessed by the Building Codes Department, you could call 890-5519, and that's Emergency Management Services for Rutherford County, and 890-2957. 890-5519 is the first number, 890-2957 is the second number. And 8 o'clock in the morning, those lines will open up, and that way, if we can compare them to our lists and make sure that we get that assessment into the federal government and state local agencies that are working towards the disaster relief program.
Was this only homes outside the cities?
I think they will take any calls on emergency management, but mostly county. Yeah, the city jurisdictions that you live in, building codes departments or city hall can direct you in their jurisdictions. Each jurisdiction does have teams out doing assessments, and so those are separated in that manner. There may be some state TEMA or FEMA teams going out later after the assessments come in, but this is our initial work, and we should have those in by tomorrow afternoon and have some numbers for you.
David, what are you hearing? You're seeing some spots that are real bad in the rural areas of the county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had some houses that you just don't realize how deep the water got until you start talking to and seeing the properties. Yeah, so it surprised me a little bit more than I was hit with this morning, a little bit more than I expected. So.
What areas was the worst?
Oh, it's mostly, of course, north and northwest, but it could be all over the county because of our surface water flooding was pretty bad in places. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna call Commissioner Jack Black up here a minute. He wants to speak to us a minute.
If the board don't mind, I got my road board commissioner here with me, Keith Bratcher.
Mr. Bratcher, you want to step up here too? About widening the section of 231. Mr. Black.
Last month, we had a conditional use permit come up out in my area, 231. I got some calls about it as far as horrendous traffic. It was on 231. There was Sam Stocker from the Daily View Journal. He called and asked some questions, and he said, you know, he lives out that way, and with it being so horrendous as far as the traffic and all down through there, that was it anything that we've ever did as a commission as far as asking the state about the widening of it. And I told him we've been working on Jefferson Pike, and it's you know, everybody up here knows as far as the government, the wheels don't turn too you know, every now and then on that. But I thought I was compelled to get with Miss Becky Shelton with the legal department and draft a resolution asking the state would they consider maybe widen it in phases, and I just would appreciate any support I could get from this committee. Mr. Bratcher, you might.
I'll just kind of add what Commissioner Black said. I've gotten several calls about Horst Jefferson Pike also, and like Jack said, we kind of been working on that, and you know, with the economy the way it's been, I think they had some proposals for widening Jefferson Pike, but that kind of got put on hold. But like back to what he says, I know he had a proposal come up last month on 231 there, and I've gotten several calls from constituents in that area concerned about possibly some more commercial being coming down 231 and it being it not being able to handle it. And I think there was a issue about even this property or this conditional use permit that was approved about possibly putting in a turning lane. And I know that being a state route, it's kind of us being the county. The county, our hands are kind of tied somewhat on whether they do that or not. But anyway, I'm like Jack. I've gotten some calls, some concerns about if there was something that we could possibly send to the state and for their consideration of trying to widen 231.
Mr. Johnson.
Having all this said and everyone understanding pretty much that there is a need, I'd like to make a motion that we send this resolution to the state, and the resolution is to widen and improve Route 231 Lebanon Road in stages, if not possible, to do the entire project.
Second.
Anybody got any questions on this?
What kind of evidence do we have to back this up in terms of accidents, frequency, and things of that kind that they might understand?
Well, I think if you look at this resolution, I think he's asking for down out where they built a new bridge out to Cut Off Road, and there's probably been accidents and problems out through there. I know for a fact along through there, 4 or 5 people got killed up through there. And there's one thing about it, we can't never get nothing done if we don't move forward and ask them, and if they accept this, I'm sure the state will do a study themselves. That's what they generally do. Then.
Well, I'm not objecting to it. I just wanted to know, though, what kind of a history we have to back it up.
Well, regardless of what you hear, that's what I'm telling you. Everyone that I've dealt with by working with the highway department, once the state gets involved, they're going to do their own assessment anyway.
I might just add a little bit to Mr. Daniels. Probably the section that he's talking about from the bridge probably to Cut Off Road, that's probably going to be the busiest part, because where you've got the intersection of Jefferson Pike right there, you also have Walter Hill Elementary School, and then you got the development that's fixing to go on that we're just talking about right before Cut Off, and then probably Cut Off Road, because cars and stuff are going there in the morning and afternoons, going down to Wilson Elementary there. So that section most definitely is going to be from the bridge to there is going to be probably the most congested.
If I'm not mistaken, my understanding, the city limits stop pretty much at the bridge, so that would be the county from the bridge out.
Yeah, city limits actually goes to Cherry Lane.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, sir.
That's right after, real
Yes,
close
sir.
to the bridge.
Yes, sir.
And the city has looked at that part before, and then, of course, they've had a problem because of VA there. But maybe if something was done when I was through there, it might cause a chain reaction on some of the others. And one reason he was wanting to tie us in there too, they already got in the works for widening Jefferson Pike. She done doing some of the engineering on some of it now. You'd be coming right through there anyway at that intersection, so it would make sense. But anyway, said that.
Well, Joe, do you think that the highway department or the county would be willing to do some work? I know.
Couldn't do it on the state.
State road.
Well, I've heard TDOT, a representative TDOT say once that if the county would do some, like talking about Mona right there at Jefferson, it's real bad. They had told me once that if the county would do a little bit, that they'd be more responsive
I
to.
don't know who told that. The county ain't allowed to do it.
That's just what I had a TDOT representative tell me that once.
Well, we were funded, but we couldn't work on it.
What you're in reference to, if the county at some point chooses to participate in the cost
Yes, sir.
of the project, and you want to put in 20% of the money or 10%, yeah, that'll move it up the priority list as far as what the state's going to do. So you'll have to make that decision at some point when it gets a little closer.
Because they've been talking about Jefferson Pike for 20 years. And I hadn't seen, I mean, they're doing engineering, but they've been talking about doing that for years. You know.
Jefferson Pike is right behind Highway 96. We've been talking about that longer than Jefferson Pike. So this is, road construction is a very, very elongated process.
It is.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah, well, I'm in support of this, of course, because we need to get some widened things, but along the lines that Commissioner Daniel was talking about, do we have any numbers, and maybe Doug could answer this, of what development has gone on in the past X number of years? Let's just take a 5-year period versus how many other lots are being sold. It might be some additional information that the state may not have. If we have any subdivisions that people would travel on to get there, might add a little oomph to this proposal if we could come up with that, if those exist. Because I know this one subdivision where you just had to think where we're putting this commercial development out front, there were, I've forgotten how many homes were in both sides of that, but there may be some other developments that have yet to be completed but are in the process that might be added to this list, that we have X amount of homes going in like that, but along with what Mr. Daniel was saying.
Along Cutoff Road, J.D. Todd Road, it is very heavily developed. And then from there on up to from Mona, like Commissioner Sparks said, it's become...
Well, Mona should be the priority, if anything. I mean, there was an accident there years ago, and the infant was just tossed out of the vehicle. So we really want to talk about priorities. Mona should have been done years ago. We talked about that before. I mean, I'm all in favor of what you're doing here. And if Sam Stocker's watching this, do a story on Mona right there. Do a story on the people that's hit those telephone poles. That's a state road. That can be widened right there. You know, and I've just like you, I've talked to people that's lost loved ones out there on that road.
Sure.
What's the traffic count out at this area? Do y'all know?
It's very high.
I mean, 20,000, 18,000?
I'd say close. I'd say you're in the neighborhood.
Okay. No, I don't.
But I just appreciate any help this committee could give us on this. And
Well, I think it ought to be pursued. Let's go on and do it.
We're moving this to the commission from this.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything? All in favor?
Aye.
thank y'all.
Planning talk.
Put you in the middle.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Have 3 different things for you tonight. We'll start with our subdivision lot inventory. Mr. Williams, what you were asking about just a minute ago. This would help. It's not broken down by region or anything, but the active subdivisions and everything, we should be able to get a count fairly easily of what developments is up there. But this is the permit data as of the end of April. There was one new plat that was recorded, Crescent Ridge. On the first page, you see that. It's kind of shaded right there, 44 lots. On that third page, kind of gives you just a quick overview of the number of lots that are still available, 1,536. And that's, again, total on this list since 2004 when we started keeping track of these statistics. Total available lots as of this time last year was 1,646. So we are starting, again, we're starting to trend a little bit down from what we did have a year or so ago. So with that, if there's no questions, I'll just go ahead and move on to the zoning report. We just have one zoning application for you for your consideration today. This is a piece of property, actually 2 pieces of property, located along Barfield Crescent Road, directly across the street from Barfield Park. There's a location map in here as well as a reduced concept plan of the proposal. The applicant would like to build a 96,000 square foot sportsplex. The sportsplex would contain 2 ice rinks and 1 all-purpose field. A variety of uses would be included for ice skating, flag football, soccer, ice hockey, those kind of activities. Hours of operation Monday through Thursday from 10 to midnight, Friday 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Saturday 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., and then Sunday 7 a.m. to midnight. There is an existing single-family house on the property and a welding shop that was approved back in 2001. Of course, those would be removed for this sportsplex. There was a couple neighborhood meetings that were held for this development prior to it heading to the Planning Commission in September and then in March of this year, September of last year. The primary concerns, of course, had to do with the screening, lighting, drainage, of course, those kind of issues. And a lot of discussion was had on those. You'll see in the conditions that were recommended for this application. Of course, they would enclose their dumpster. Any on-site lighting would have no more than what's called a foot candle at the property line, which is a measure of the ambient light in the area. They'd use the box fixtures to keep the light pointing down. The parking requirements, as stated here, as there's not really anything like this in the zoning resolution. And then one of the biggest concerns had to do, again, with the screening. An 8-foot vinyl fence be constructed along the east side of the property, which is immediately adjacent to the Southridge subdivision, so that was pretty important to them. I will also say that the zoning that they're asking for, the C3, which is the recreation commercial, does require larger setbacks than a typical commercial zone. So the concept plan that they had in here would have to be amended as well. This project would qualify under the new buffering and landscaping regulations that were approved by the commission back in March. So again, this project would qualify under that. So a lot more landscaping and screening would be required. But that's the only application we have for rezoning conditional use. This did pass the Planning Commission with a recommendation for approval by unanimous vote. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Where is it again?
It's directly across the street from Barfield Park along Barfield Crescent Road.
Did you say whether there would be improvements on Barfield Road?
It's already a 5-lane road, so there's already a center turn lane there. Now, they may have to do some restriping. We'll work with the city. We've been in contact with the city about that. They're pretty supportive of the application. They just request that whenever we see a site plan, they'd like to take a look at it because they'd have to get their right-of-way permits and everything through the city since the road is in the city. So, and of course, we have no issue with that. So.
Didn't they change their entrances to correspond?
Yes, actually they did.
From the initial plan.
Yeah,
that was changed. That's also
yeah,
debate.
it sure
on
was.
Okay.
If you look in your packet, the reduced plan that's in here, the entrance originally was along the Southridge side. What they ended up doing was shifting that to the opposite side of the property. Now, there was some concern about whether or not that entrance was too close to the entrance on Barfield Crescent Road to the park. They're only maybe a couple hundred feet apart at that. But basically, we just said, whenever we saw the site plan, we would work with the city as far as maybe shifting that just a little bit if need be. So, but yeah, you're right. It was on the other side of the property
and
originally.
That's been changed?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's already a turning lane for people that would be turning left across traffic, but should we not look at maybe putting one in for the right turn lane? I mean,
that wasn't
like
well. It would have to be
congestion.
It would, yeah. The developer would have to pay for that.
How much is that going to cost?
I'm not sure exactly. Something like that, we'd probably want to work with the city on. Again, being that that's a city road.
Because an entrance to something like this or a park, the traffic's going to back up. And, we don't need people being rear-ended because we failed to have them put in a right turn lane.
But
if you're going to do business, there's cost of business.
But if you're going to do business, why don't we be receptive to businesses that are coming in here?
Yeah, it is.
Instead of putting more obstacles in their way.
You should be on this and be turning off how fast you could.
You would like to, but
you got 5 lanes. 5 lanes in front of that park.
If they're turning right,
how much more you can
put
on somebody. I think we ought to be thrilled that a guy's willing to come to this county and build this thing. How many square feet is that?
I am, but I'm not thrilled about being rear-ended.
96,000. You want to make it some kind of a public safety hazard every time someone wants to put a business in.
Well, they are.
I don't understand that. I'm not with you on that. To me, there's people out here that's lost jobs. We're in a deep recession.
And there are people that have
we ought to roll out the red carpet for this guy and thank God that he's willing to come here. How many jobs will he create?
I'm not sure exactly.
How much extra would that add to the tax base?
Well,
I mean, we sit there and work.
Those aren't numbers.
Let me just give you a good case in point. My little business, there's 16,000
point
cars
of
a day
order.
on Jefferson Pike.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
We're gonna talk about safety.
Point of order on this.
This is- yeah.
I'm just saying, we keep
I agree
going
with
against people.
Point of order, hold on.
We should be receptive, is all I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman, we're getting way off base on
I
this.
agree with you.
That's part of discussion.
I'm gonna call the discussion closed. All in favor?
Aye.
I don't have a motion.
I thought you.
Yeah, we don't have one.
Okay.
We don't have a motion.
I'll make that
It's
motion.
just, we're not
This is
basing on it.
just information to come to the
Just
full
information.
commission.
No, we're not to the discussion if we're gonna have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Call
we
for
don't
motion
really
then.
need,
Well, you also had questions about the requirements.
Let's get a motion for.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, now. You
But
got some
this
more you
this
wanna
doesn't get
question?
approved.
no, we never have approved.
This is not
You accept his report.
we just accept his report. This is not
We never,
And I
approve
was just-
anything that's come through the planning department.
And I was just suggesting they look into it. It may not be that they would require it, but at least look into it. You know, we don't need to just throw things, and I'm not saying they're just throwing it out there, but you need to look in depth into the traffic and what it will cause, whether it will possibly cause several, a lot of rear-end collisions or not.
And
If you've ever been rear-ended, I've been rear-ended twice in the last 3 years. I know how it feels. Now, thank God that I didn't get killed,
That's
but
your report.
That is I have a budget amendment request, but as far as zoning, when Commissioner Johnson, we were going to talk to the city anyway regarding the location of the entrance. I mean, we'll work with their traffic staff if they feel that if a right turn is necessary for
right,
that.
that's all I
well, you
Thank you.
discuss it in
I've got a
planning
motion.
Second.
What's that?
though. You discuss it in planning, the traffic.
Sure.
all
What was
of
your
it.
vote in plan?
It was
in plan?
unanimous, approved.
Unanimous. Unanimous.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, I do have a budget amendment request as well. I believe did everybody get a copy of this? I think I passed one out to everybody. This is a,
Too late.
Hey.
yeah, this is just a real small budget amendment request that we have involving our internal budget, no new money. In our department, we have 3 full-time administrative positions. Right now, 2 of them are filled. One of them is funded but has not been filled. After discussion, the mayor did allow us to have our part-time person work a few more hours with the understanding that we probably would go over budget before the end of the fiscal year. And he said at that time we could just make a request to take some of the money from that available position that's not funded, or it's funded but not being used at this point, and just take some of that money and to transfer it into our part-time line item. And that's all what you're seeing here. Again, no new money, just moving around some money within our budget.
Move to approve. Second.
So you're not hiring another full-time person?
No.
That's what you're telling me?
That not at this point, that's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Daniel?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
I'm finished, thank you.
I wanted to, for a point of information, inform you that we had to pull a bond in Fall Creek in Section 3 and on Section 5, Phase 2. The developer basically went bankrupt. We pulled the bond to complete the road project and the drainage. And so this is the first time we've actually had to do this, but the bond appears, after doing a cost analysis, to be plenty to cover the work. We're going to go out for bids on this as soon as I get a couple of legal questions answered by Mr. Cope's office, and then hire a contractor, and he'll finish the roads per the specifications for the subdivision that the original developer had.
Precisely where is it located?
They're located off of J.D. Todd Road up in the northern part of the county. There's 2 subdivisions. There's probably back in there 200 or 300 homes. These were later phases in that particular project. So, and then of course we've had the flooding stuff going on. We've been working with David's office to get some of these data sheets filled out for the people going out and meet with the homeowners, and looking at their problems, making notes so that we can later go back in and evaluate the drainage stuff after, dry, so we can get in there, see if there's something we can do to help out the situation. Our projects are designed for 7.5 inches over 24 hours, and of course we got quite a bit more rain than that, so our flooding areas are larger and a little deeper than we've had before. So, but just want to bring that to you, and encourage anybody who has a problem to call us at the office, and we'll get somebody out there quick as we can to look at and evaluate what we might be able to do to help them out.
What's your office number?
898-7730.
Anybody else got any questions, Dale or Doug? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on the highway department tonight, just got drainage easement, sir. And you got a copy of it. We got one there at Fleming's Farm and Midland Acres and K Road. Anybody got any question on it? All in favor? Aye. I will tell you a little bit of update maybe with the highway department. The highway department has been working diligently since Saturday night, Sunday and all, and we've had several hands we got working, and we've had ain't no telling the driveways and pipes we've fixed, and drainages, and guys been doing an outstanding job. And the only road we really got closed is one that's flooded. All the others is back and running good.
Point of clarification, when you say driveways, you're not insinuating we're going and repairing people's driveways. You're talking about entrances.
Just the entrance to the driveway where the pipes washed out in the ditch, and gravels, and maybe the blacktop off of it.
That would be
whatever. Yeah.
Anything
that's on the county's easement.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the landfill report.
Good evening. On the landfill report, as you can see, our dollars are up just a little bit. The economy's still down some, but we're busier out there than we have been several years on a routine basis. And again, part of that's because the Middle Point's increased their price. Also, with the rain event, we had the amount of water coming off the landfill hill. Our shop is down gradient from that, and it flooded the entire office and everything. So we're going to wind up spending a little money out there to replace the floor covering and whatever else got damaged. We were pretty lucky. It wasn't very deep in there. Just a lot of mud. Any questions on the landfill? I'll move on to the convenience center. Convenience center's been, this month of April has been a little busier than normal. We've finally gotten back up to where we were almost 2 years ago as far as the numbers of loads. Of course, this rain event slowed down this past weekend's volume, but the other volume's been going real well. Also, with the rain event, Laverne and Smyrna got hit pretty heavily. I went up there today and met with some of the Laverne officials, contacted the TDEC office, and in the morning we will open a temporary convenience center on the Old Nashville Highway. The address is 664 Old Nashville Highway. It's at the Easy Towing location. And this center is going to be for the flood victims don't bring your regular garbage out there. We'll have a container for electronics, we'll have another container for appliances, and then your floor coverings that you have to tear out, that type of stuff. If you got loads of construction debris, you'll need to take those directly onto the landfill.
That's behind Lowe's.
Yes.
West Highway Lowe's.
We got a couple of containers placed over there this evening, and we'll finish up in the morning, and that will be a manned site. And we'll probably keep it open. Normally we're closed on Thursdays, but that one will be open on Thursdays. But again, it's not, don't bring your garbage. That's not what we're there for. The household hazardous waste, we're really not set up to accept that. If you've got that type of material, Williamson County is having their collection on Saturday, May the 8th. And Coffee County is having their collection on Saturday, May the 22nd. So if you've got household hazardous waste materials, you need to contact one of those two counties. That's the nearest one still left available to attend. That's all I had on reports, unless you got any questions.
Mac.
I got a question on the convenience centers. Now, commercial business, since we have quite a few that's moving outside the city limits in the county now, are they using our convenience centers?
They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to. Now, they probably are. Some of the rules that we've already had most of them in place. But some of the rules are there to try to keep the commercial businesses out. The one level pickup truck loads per day is because of volume. You know, if it's a commercial business, more likely they've got more volume than that. The enclosed trucks and trailers is intended to help keep those out. The shorter trailers is intended to help keep those type of businesses out. The construction debris would take small amounts. That's to try to keep those out. Now, do some of them still get in? I'm sure they do. But we'd rather not have them. That's not what they're for. You know, like Commissioner Johnson spoke a minute ago, if you're in business, that's a cost to do business. So you need to have your own containers.
So if they are caught dumping in our convenience centers, what are the recourse?
As far as recourse, I don't think there really is a lot. The center attendant, if they think you're commercial, they'll ask you a few questions, and if they determine you are commercial, ask you not to come back. One thing that I've looked at and chosen not to try to do is, like in Davidson County Convenience Centers, no commercial tags are allowed. Well, most of the farmers in this county have commercial tags. So you're going to cut out every farmer in the county if you do that. So I don't think that's the direction we want to go with it. So it's basically trying to determine whether or not, the same thing we do at the landfill. Just ask a few questions and kind of look at what they have. It's a judgment call, and most always you wind up with a resident upset over it, especially if they're just a resident. What the center attendants have been asked to look is if Mr. Williams comes out there and he's got Williams Construction on his truck and he's got a bag of household trash, okay, that's probably his household trash, not his construction business. So, you know, that type of situation.
Well, just take for example, you know, we've got quite a few Dollar General stores moving outside the city limits, pharmacies and stuff like that. They got boxes where they get goods in.
Right.
And if they go to the convenience center to dump these boxes, will they be turned away?
They should be. And, you know, if they have a Rutherford County vehicle and they're coming in small amounts at a time, it's going to be hard to catch them. If they're coming in with a Dollar General truck in a large volume, they should be turned away. I understand the question you're asking. I don't feel like I'm giving you the answer that you want to hear, but it's a real hard.
I think they've got dumpsters up in Dollar General.
A lot of them do, but there's a lot of small mom and pop businesses,
That don't.
little convenience store type operations that don't have that. I understand the question you're asking. It's a hard call to make, and it's, you know, the rules are set up to try to keep it from happening, but, you know, it's hard to watch everybody at the same time.
But then again, if Dollar General wants to give you cardboard, you're going to take it, aren't you? You get money for cardboard.
Well, we get money, but it costs us more money to haul it than we get. You know, if they've got large quantities of cardboard, they need.
Because they're going to. What option does a business have if they want to recycle?
If they're wanting to recycle, there's several businesses that will do that, and it's cheaper than the trash. The QRS that we dealt with, they would be willing to do that. BFI Waste Management, Alliance. There's several, Southeast Paper right here local. Advanced Disposal over in Franklin's just started up.
Yeah, I don't see large business going over it like that.
Well, the reason I asked the question, you have residents that go in these convenience centers and the dumpsters are full and they look over in there and see 50 strawberry or apples or whatever boxes in there, and they know it didn't come from a house. So if they drove out there on Sunday to dump and they see this, quite naturally they don't call the commissioner from that district and ask about it.
Right.
That's
Yes.
the reason I'm bringing it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you're right. It does. I'm sure it happens probably more often than we realize.
Is there anything we need to do to put some teeth in it?
The
You know, if it litter on the highway, you got a fine or something, you can go to court, whatever.
I'm actually glad you asked that question. If you were one of my center attendants and you're trying to follow the rules that we have in place, and I'm a resident and I'm adamant I'm not going to follow the rules, that center attendant actually has no teeth at all. He can ask you to leave, but he can't make you leave.
Yeah.
And if there's some kind of way that we could, or you as a county commission, could give us a little more, I don't know what the right word is there.
I see what you're saying. A little more teeth, like we came up with a noise ordinance and everything else.
Right.
We may need to look at some type of.
I mean, some of the center attendants will actually tell you don't come back. They can't enforce that. You know, so that we really have no teeth in anything that we do.
I think we do a pretty good job on it. I think we've got to be careful how far we go on it. We're trying to get people to get throw trash where the next thing I don't want to do is create something to be thrown out on the road.
Yeah.
I think most of them attendants have been there a while.
Most of the center attendants, there's 38 center attendants, and I think we've hired 7 or 8 since I've been here. So most of the center attendants have been in the solid waste department longer than I have.
I mean, I know the one that put the recycle in is really picked up on the recycle and all, and that tells me that people try and do a whole lot better on recycling. I think once we get these others in recycling, I mean, he can tell you that without me telling you. I know I checked one in my area, and them guys there, tenants in there said, and they have, just like out there on Bradwell Road. Once they put the recycling in there, they using the heck out of it.
We had when we started putting the glass containers out into the centers a month or so ago, had a little glitch in communications, and the way it was set up is we were taking 2 glass containers, one clear glass, one colored glass to each center, and had the drivers run in together. And some reason or another, 2 drivers split up, and one went to Sand Hill and one went to Las Casas. They're both supposed to go both places. Well, and they ran out of containers. So Sand Hill wound up with a container, and Las Casas wound up with a container. But neither one of them had the full variety, so we had to move the one from Las Casas to Sand Hill to make Sand Hill whole again. And you wouldn't believe the calls I got. That container was there one day. What happened to our glass container? It was there one day, and they missed it.
Yeah, but can you ask your attendants what they think they need to back them up? You know, if they make these calls.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I can definitely ask, and I've got some ideas. I don't know how far we can go out. I'll generate a kind of a list for you to look over and see what you think we can do.
Let's start with this. Let's get the tag numbers of people that have clearly violated this dumping of commercial products, and both either Mr. Nolan or myself both will contact these owners of these commercial properties, and we'll send them a letter that will get their attention.
Okay.
And we can go from there if that doesn't work.
That sounds good. That sounds good to me.
Anything else on the report then? Not a need motion yet.
Second.
I ain't got a motion yet.
Well, you said,
No, I said wait a minute.
I took it that you moved,
No, Anthony did.
You've come in second all night.
which is inconvenient.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now you ready for,
We have some budget amendments.
all right.
Our landfill revenue is up a little more than projected because the business is up. So what we're asking to do is move $40,000 to recognize some of that revenue and put $25,000 into contracted with private agencies and $15,000 into disposal fees. The disposal fees is tires. We get $183,000 a year from state of Tennessee for tire management, and we're not going to have enough money to manage our tires the remainder of the year. And on the contracts with private agencies, if you'll remember, when we went into the budget we're currently operating in, we were still dealing with the tornado stuff from last year, and we really didn't budget for that because we didn't know what to put in. So we assumed that we were going to have to go back and do a budget amendment anyway, so we just thought we'd wait until we needed the money. And then on the next one, we're going to need about $4,000 to finish with the tires and tubes for the garbage trucks, and we're asking to move that from solid waste equipment. The containers we've already purchased. I think all the containers we're going to purchase for this budget year.
How you doing on containers?
We've got 40 open tops that we call swap boxes. That's what we have available for the weekends, Saturday and Sunday when the landfill's closed. And then we've got, I think it's 20 receiver boxes, compactor receivers. And in next year's budget that y'all have already seen last month and approved, there's $130,000 in there to paint containers. If you've been to our convenience centers recently, the containers look pretty bad. And most of it's aesthetic instead of they're good containers. They just need to be painted. So we're trying to gear up to paint a third of the containers a year. And then we think in a 3-year process we should have everything painted. Our hopes there is, one, to make the container last longer, and the other is to make it look better. We think if we can improve the aesthetics of our center, it may help with the residents try to pick up behind themselves and things like that. If it looks junky, they'll treat it that way. Yeah. If it looks nice, they'll treat it nicer. That's our hope anyway.
Okay, we got a motion to start on the budget.
I don't have a motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
That's second.
Who was your second?
Anthony.
Mr. Johnson.
Sharon.
Commissioner Daniel.
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan.
Yes.
And one last advertisement, the Jerusalem Cumberland Presbyterian Church on Mona Road will have a pancake breakfast and yard sale on May the 22nd, starting at 6 o'clock. So y'all come out there and join with us.
Free?
No, it's not free. $5.
Is it all you can eat?
Yes, sir, it is all you can eat.
And you charge Anthony $15.
What he said.
One of those.
We'll start at 6. Probably go